and the game day. Yeah, the jungle's back. Got the natty pack in the orange and black stripes.
Welcome, everybody, to Week 2 of the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm your co-host for the show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my other co-host, who is being honored tomorrow night at the Bengals-Ravens game for the 1988 season with the rest of his teammates. Help me welcome to the show, number 58, Joe Kelly. How you doing, Joe?
Oh, great time, man. Great, feeling great, man. Yeah, a lot of my teammates are in town to celebrate this, 30th anniversary of our Super Bowl team. So, it's great. It's going to be great to reunite with some of those guys, and then also, coming off that great win, I'll take an ugly win over a pretty loss. Any day. Mike, we have faith.
The old saying is, get the win this week, look good next week.
That's right. And those guys put out, defense, made some plays. It was, wasn't happy with a lot of the play. It was, Austin, the defensive coordinator, at Detroit, his motto was bend and don't break. And I think that's what we did. We bent a lot. I think we bent a little bit too much. But at the end of the day, the guys made the plays and made enough plays in order to get out of Indy with a victory.
The thing that really stood out to me was Andy Dalton throws the pick. It looks like it's going to be a pick six. But he goes down and makes the tackle. In years past, I don't think he goes down and makes that tackle. And that was a huge play in the game, because then you come back and we get the interception back off of Andrew Luck with Preston Brown. And I think the thing that stood out to me, as you said, there's a lot of things wrong with this team right now, but there's a lot of things wrong with every team after the first game. And the thing that stood out to me is they went on the road and they got the win. And they got the win coming from 2 touchdowns down against Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck looked good.
Yes, he did. He looked very comfortable, in the pocket, and I think they just decided that they were going to attack us with short crossing passing routes. And really never threatened us vertically. That was their game plan, and he looked very good doing it. But like you said, there were some big plays. Andy throws the pick, defense turns around, and Preston Brown, he gets the interception. And the one thing I was bothered, Mike, was the officiating. They're going to have to definitely review, these new rules, because just like when they overturned the catch rule this year, we had, in my opinion, 3 very questionable. I think one was very, you could go either way. It wasn't targeting, but the call on William Jackson and the call on Carlos Dunlap, in my opinion, those were horrible.
There's no way. You know yourself, you were a linebacker. You're going in, especially coming off the edge, beating a big offensive tackle. It's really hard to all of a sudden slow down. And, I mean, the contact was made right as he threw the ball. And the thing that stood out to me on the Sean Williams one is, another thing, it's hard to stop. I know what the rule is. If it's a 15-yard penalty, that's fine. But he should not be kicked out of the game. And the reason he shouldn't be kicked out of the game to me, Joe, is this. They're supposed to be looking after the players, all right? He took a shot to the head that was bad enough to get the player removed from the game, but yet they did no concussion testing on him after that. And if they're really looking out for the players, and I haven't heard anybody else nationally or locally bring this up, but if he got hit that hard in the head where we're throwing a guy out of the game, why aren't we pulling him out for a couple plays to check to make sure he's all right?
Yeah, you got to look at it, because you have to allow, Mike, for incidental head contact. When you're looking at Luck, what is Luck? Is 6'4", 220, 225? So you're looking at that guy. Is he going to slide? If I don't, I think he came in and you see he led with the shoulder, and the way Luck was the way he was positioned, it was incidental contact. You have to allow, there has to be a room for incidental contact. When you have these running backs, and you've seen some of a lot of the running backs when they're breaking clear, and they're coming up to those DBs. Mike, the first thing they're doing is lowering their helmets. My thing is, it has to be changed. You're slowing down the game. You know, these are calls. You're asking Dunlap, 6'5", 265, 270, hitting this guy, in full stride to in the middle of the air, contort his body, and somehow fall on the side. You got to be, realistic, Mike.
Yeah,
when you're going full speed, William Jackson. Here, you're talking about a three-step wham-bam play. There is no other way in the world William Jackson could have played that play other than just letting him catch it and don't even try to contest it. Because anytime you're looking at the guy is diving for the ball, it's low. He has to try and knock the ball from this guy. So there's really no other way to defend that play. This is going to be a controversial rule all season long. But at the end of the day, Mike, we're not playing flag football. You have to allow the quarterback to be able to get hit, or you're going to say if he scrambles, he has to slide.
Yeah. And the thing is this. I thought that the quarterback turns into a ball carrier once he breaks the line of scrimmage anyways. I thought that was the rule.
Yeah, well, it is, but but it's not. If it's a quarterback, my thing is the only way. There's no other way a defensive player can realistically play Andrew Luck, Cam Newton, Ben Roethlisberger. These guys are literally defensive ends, linebackers running. And unless you can tell me for sure that he's going to slide, what am I going to do? Either I'm going to give up a touchdown, give up a first down. I'm just conceding. An extra 2-3 yards, if not more. Because if I do hit him, I'm subject to being tossed from the game, or costing my team, the potential win.
Yeah, and the concern is this changes the season. We get it down the road, and maybe the Bengals are playing the Steelers. Maybe there's a call made there that changes who wins the division. My two takeaways from this game, one is good and one is bad. The one that was good to me was Joe Mixon's going to be a bad dude this year. And number two, I thought the offensive line, the left side of the offensive line is very good. I think Bobby Hart at right tackle is just as bad, if not worse, than what we saw last year, though, Joe.
There was questionable. I don't, that's saying a lot, because you can't get any worse than what we were. I think we're going to be better on the offensive line. I think he's going to get better. I see him, looking at his technique. A lot of it, his footwork. He was off balance. But when I'm not looking at how passive Blahey and Fisher and those guys were last year. I'm seeing some guys that here you can make some technical changes, to make you more effective. Is he going to be, T. Smith from Dallas? No. But I definitely think that he, can be a very big upgrade from what we had last year. When I looked at, you look at Mixon. Mixon, looked great. What I thought was different than what I seen in the first couple of series that the starters were playing in preseason. I didn't see the diversity. I didn't see, stretch the field. Throw a long ball. Let 15 run under the ball. Open up those crossing lanes. I didn't see a lot of, in the preseason we were going to the tight end, AJ across the middle. We were doing these things. We weren't corner routes, post routes. I seen, I didn't see that. I did not like the play of the linebackers, Mike. I did not like the play of the linebackers, whatsoever. I thought they were, when you had the crossing routes, they were running. If you got a guy crossing in front of your face, first thing you're taught is to look the other way, look for another guy coming across. And a lot of times they were out of place.
If somebody's leaving, somebody's coming.
Somebody's coming. You believe that, and believe your key. Believe your eyes. tell me, hey, believe your eyes. And you get caught up looking at something going inside with a play that doesn't have anything to do with you. Even on some of the running plays, read your keys. And, we were by position out of place, and as a result, they were making some plays. And we gotta get better on third down. Defense, we gotta get better on third down. Because you look at the end of the game, Mike, that was a first down. If the guy doesn't fumble, it's first down.
Yeah.
And you never know what's going to happen. And we have to be able to get off the field if we're going to stay and have a successful season.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Sean Williams, after he left, Clayton Fedulum came in and really played well. And I'm not even talking about the fumble recovery because he wasn't in on a hit. He just picked the ball up and ran with it. But overall, I think he had 8 or 9 tackles. I think he's a really good player, and I think it's debatable on who's better between him and Sean Williams.
I like him, and you have to also realize that this guy not only had to come in and replace Williams. This guy was on every special team, Mike. So you're talking about running down on kickoff, kickoff return, punt return, and playing every snap on defense. I don't care who you are. This is the NFL, and I know there were some plays where he was winded, but he like you said, he made some good plays. I thought our DBs were solid for the most part. We didn't get the push that I expected us to. But our guys they were pushing. Our D-line fought, all game long. And Mike, if we're going to have a successful season, especially on defense, our D-line is going to have to be the guys who are leading us.
Yeah, and we had a sack from Dunlap and Smith. Overall, though, I don't think we got the pressure I hoped for, but I think a lot of that also was the fact that the Colts were getting rid of the ball quick with the short and intermediate routes because the Colts know their weakness is the offensive line.
Absolutely. And my thing is it was obvious. It was obvious, 2-3 series into the game, what their game plan was. And, I guess you look at them and you can panic and try and change and try to adapt to what they're trying to do to you. But a good team, a better team, a better offensive team, Pittsburgh Steelers, when you're Patriots, those kind of teams, you're going to have to adjust. Because, if you don't, you can sit up here and Tom Brady and those guys are going to sit back and pick you off, just like Luck did. But the difference is going to be those teams have a lot better skilled players.
Yeah, and they'll be able to run the ball because that was the key with the Colts because they could not run the ball. And without that run threat there, I think the reason you saw the defense look the way it is because Terrell Austin is a bend but break don't guy. So he just sitting back, let them catch the ball. We go up and tackle them and hope something bad happens to them before they get to the end zone. I hate that, by the way.
No, I hate it because at the end of the day, you can do that against the Colts. We still have to. It's a great victory. In NFL, you take any victory. Any victory is a great victory. But Mike, we're still talking about the Colts who I don't know what they were last place. Totally different. Games last year. Yeah, totally different players. And they don't even know how to play with each other yet. And we literally. Got out of there, just with the hair on our chin, man. So, it could be, good, it could be bad. Here, Indy could be still the team of last year, and we're really not as good as we think, or they can be an up-and-coming team, and they can go out there and, upset some teams and get some, get a lot of wins this season.
Well, I think the fact that they have Andrew Luck means they'll probably win at least a handful of games this year because, like Russell Wilson, he's on a bad Seattle team, but that guy's so good that he's going to win some that he shouldn't win. But when we look at what's coming up this week, we've got the Bengals and the Ravens, Week 2 matchup on Thursday night. Winner will be in sole position of first place in the AFC North. It is never too soon to be in sole possession of the AFC North. And if you look at Flacco and the Ravens come out, they beat the Bills 47-3, but that's like, if Coleraine beats Taylor High School in a high school game, you don't really read much into it because it's a complete mismatch. But Flacco has some new weapons. You got Michael Crabtree, John Brown, Willie Snead, all caught touchdown passes. You've got Lamar Jackson in there now. And the thing that was bad about the fact that they played Buffalo and it was such a blowout is I think when you're going into this game on a short week to prepare for them, you don't really have a clue what they're going to try to do with Lamar Jackson. But you got to figure they're going to do something probably in the vein of what Bill Cowher did in the 90s with Cordell Stewart, which can cause you a lot of issues. And But I do think the other thing is this. Last week was like a preseason game for the Bills. They are not battle-tested yet, or for the Ravens. The Bengals are battle-tested, so I think that comes into play also.
Yeah. When you look at it, what they did to Buffalo, it was abysmal. Any NFL team that is that ill prepared, there's a problem. Because you still have guys that that are NFL caliber guys. Like you said, it's a week where you really don't know what kind of team Baltimore has because Buffalo was that bad. But when you look at it, Mike, it's a league game, conference game. It's the Ravens. It's a rival. So to me, it doesn't matter. I don't care if they beat Buffalo 3-0, or 47-3. We're still going to have to prepare for those guys because it is a rivalry game. So when you play these games, all the records, and all that gets thrown out of the window. All of our teams both teams are very familiar with each other. We know Baltimore. We know how they're going to attack us. But like you said, their X factor is going to be Lamar Jackson, and I know that we're going to have to prepare for him. We're going to have to prepare some wildcat and different things that they can do with that guy. He's a talent, but at the end of the day, Mike, he's still a rookie. So we have to be in there, go in there, and we have to control the clock. We have to get out on third down, and if we can execute our game plans, I think it's going to be a good game. I see it being a close game, and the team that makes the huge amount of penalties and mistakes is going to be the team that wins.
Yeah, and when I look at this game, it comes back a little bit to last week, and this is why I would pick the Bengals, is the fact that I don't think the Ravens have much of a running game, and the Bengals have Joe Mixon. And when you look at it, I just think there's a lot more diversity in the multiple weapons that the Bengals have as opposed to the Ravens. But Joe Flacco does scare the hell out of me because I know he catches a lot of crap, but I've seen that guy in big games make some big plays. And I think with 2 road games at Carolina and at Atlanta coming up, it is almost imperative that the Bengals get this game. I mean, and when you look at it, the Panthers and Falcons, neither one look that great right now. It's just scary because you're playing them in the Dome. You're playing against that Carolina defense. But, I mean, this sets up a win here. I mean, if you look at Pittsburgh, they didn't look that great. And they've got to host Kansas City. They could lose that game. I think there's no doubt Cleveland's going to go down and play an angry Saints team, and they're going to get their ass kicked. So you could be sitting here looking at a 1-game lead over Baltimore and a game and a half over the other 2 teams in this division.
Yeah, you have to take advantage, of your rivalry games or your in the interleague games. We have to take advantage of that. We have to win because, like you said, we are going on the road, and even though the 2 teams didn't win and didn't play as well, they're still going to be tough games to win on the road. We have to put ourselves in position. We can't. It was great that Pittsburgh and Cleveland tied. But we can't worry about those guys. We have to take care of what we're going to do. Those other teams are going to do what they're going to do. We have to win the games. We have to defend our home, and we have to go on the road and battle. But like you said, you look at our weapons. On paper, we both said last week that we thought the Bengals were going to score 30-something points. We did. We just didn't think Indy was going to score as many. And when you look at this game, Mixon proved and showed what he's capable of doing, the kind of year that he's capable of having. But I think in order to be successful against Baltimore, we're going to have to spread it out. We're going to have to get Eifert involved. We're going to have to get, throw the ball, throw some deep routes, open it up, loosen up those DBs. And AJ, I'm not worried about AJ holding on to the ball. AJ's going to be AJ. AJ's going to come back. He's going to redeem. He still made some tremendous plays last game, even though he fumbled twice. But he's the least of my worries. I think, we have to get in there and spread the ball around and utilize the options and the mismatches that we have. I don't think they got 25 involved at all. There's a lot of areas when you look at what we can do and try and take advantage of. I don't think we did that last week.
Yeah, and I think the only injury consideration coming into this game is Preston Brown's been listed as questionable. I think that would be a big loss from what I saw, because with no Vontaze Burfict, I think Preston Brown's probably the most consistent linebacker you have. And you talked about it. Nick Vigil made a few plays, nothing outstanding. None of these guys were really great last week.
No, it's definitely we definitely going to need him in there because, like you said, without Burfict, it is a different team, a different defense. The attitude of the defense is different when Burfict is in there. But at the end of the day, we don't have him. We can't, cry about spilt milk. Hopefully, Preston can play. We don't want him to go in there if he's in a situation where he can damage whatever's hurt, damage it more. We need to, because we need it for the long haul. So it didn't seem like it was something serious. In NFL, Mike, you're gonna play with bumps and bruises, and I think that's what he's gonna have to do. And I think our guys. I was really impressed and surprised at the play of Kirkpatrick. William he's gonna be who he is. He's gonna continue to make plays, and our D-line is gonna have to come up big for us. And like I said, our offensive line is going to have to sustain their blocks and let Joe Mixon and those guys do the things that they can do.
Yeah, and also I think the biggest news is the Cincinnati Bengals as an organization have finally honored the 1988 Bengals team, which, as I've said before, even if a Bengals team wins the Super Bowl, the most loved team in Bengals history, I think, will always be the 1988 team. You guys had a ton of characters on that team, from Mickey Woods to the SWAT team, Mike Martin singing the Who Dey rap. I don't know if we could ever get that back again, but at least finally now the Bengals as an organization are honoring you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming, and I think Mike Brown is softening up when it comes to some of those things. I'm not going to necessarily to say that Mike is he's the one leading the charge of getting us back involved in certain things, but it is good, man. It's going to be great seeing some of my teammates here in about an hour and a half. And just catching up with some guys, and haven't seen some guys since the Super Bowl. So it's good. We're coming off of a win, and hopefully the opening home game of our season, and it's a rivalry, so it's Baltimore Ravens, and hopefully Who Dey Nation and all Bengal fans can come out and represent and cheer our team on to victory, and it'll be great along with the 30th year anniversary celebration. It can make it out to be a great night.
Yeah, and as a fan, I think the thing I remember most from that year in 1988 was when you got up to about game 3 or 4 at home. The home field advantage the Bengals had that year was like anything, unlike anything I've ever experienced in Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
The place was so loud, and it's never been like that again, Joe. I don't know why that is. I don't know if everybody just beaten down by the losing, but I know I've taken my sons to Bengals-Steeler games that were big, or Bengals playoff games down there that was big, and it's never been like that again. So maybe we can get a little bit of that spirit of 1988 in that crowd tomorrow night and lead the Bengals to a victory.
Oh man, Mike, that'd be great. I remember, I can remember like it was yesterday, man, when playing the Redskins and their kicker missed that chip shot field goal.
That was the greatest moment of that entire year to me.
Oh.
Because I remember I went to that game with my dad, and we were sitting in the opposite end zone, almost at the top of the stadium. And Low Miller comes up to kick it. My dad says, "You just want to go. You know he's not going to miss it." And I said, I said, things have happened this year so crazy. I said, let's just give it a chance. And it hits, I think it was the right upper right. And then everybody's just hugging each other, going nuts. They win the game. And the thing that people really forget, though, that clinched the division. So the Bengals could have lost the division to the Oilers if they don't win that game. But on top of that, the next day you get a miracle in Indianapolis where Buffalo goes to Indy. Indy was 8-7 and pretty much out of it. And Indy beats them in the final minute, or the Bengals would have had to play that championship game in Buffalo.
Yeah. So it was, when you have those kind of seasons, you get the victories that that we got last week. Indy's driving, and hey, defense comes up with a huge play, causes a fumble, picks it up, runs for a touchdown, wins the game. So when you get on a roll like that. We got on a roll. I want to say we started 7-0, I believe.
It was 6-0, and the thing that I really remember, though, like that game last week, is the defense had 2 huge goal line stands against Phoenix that opening game that year.
Opening game, yeah. And the thing about winning, Mike, winning is contagious. When you start winning and plays, you start making big plays. Reggie Williams flying over the top. We stuffing them and we stop them on the goal line. Then you look at each game, guys are making plays here, making plays there. But at the same time, being solid throughout the game. But guys, Eddie Brown, touchdown, it was just, Icky came out, and James Brooks and, all those guys in the offensive line is dominating guys. And us as a defensive, no-name defense besides the SWAT team, we fought every week. And you get there and you get into games and you get to a point where you're expecting to win. And a lot of times when you're losing and things are not going your way, you're playing and you're expecting things to go bad. And that season, especially coming off the 87 season, that season we knew that we were a lot better than 87. And it started, like I said, we started 6-0 and lost a couple games here and there. But at the end of the day, we still felt that every game that we went in, that we could be victorious. And it would be great to see this team. I think this team is definitely going to have to, start winning and win some games that they're not supposed to win, and get out there with a good start and leading the division. And people taking notice that this is a different Cincinnati Bengals team.
Yeah, and we're in a situation where the AFC is wide open. This would be the time to do it if the Bengals could do it. All right, Joe, yes. Were you still good for noon tomorrow to come on Survive in Advance and talk about the 88 Bengals?
Absolutely.
All right, so if you're a Bengals fan, me and 1981 national champion for the Indiana Hoosiers, Steve Risley, combined with 26 points with Isaiah Thomas to win the 81 championship over North Carolina. We host a daily show, and tomorrow live at noon we'll have Joe Kelly, and hopefully we can wrangle up another Bengal or two to have a sit-down and basically just go through and talk about the 1988 season. And if you're a Bengals fan, there's no more recent season you would probably want to talk about. Hopefully that will change soon, Joe. But So make sure you check out me, Steve, and Joe tomorrow to talk a little 88 Bengals at noon on thegruelingtruth.net. So, Joe, what's your final prediction for this game?
I'm saying that it's going to be a close one. It's a rivalry game. I'm looking at some good defense, but I'm looking at the offense. Both offenses making some plays, and I'm looking at the score to be 24-21, Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, it was close because I just wrote an article. My final score was 24-17 Bengals. So
yeah, it's gonna be a close game.
Just got to get after Joe Flacco. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Remember tomorrow at noon, me and Steve with Joe. Tonight at 8 o'clock, we'll have the Indiana Basketball Weekly Show. It'll be myself hosting, with my co-host being, as we said, Steve Risley, 1981 national champion, and Colin Hartman, who played at IU over the last 4 years, one of the fan favorites in Indiana Hoosier land. Also tonight at 9:30, I'll be back with Brian Schmidt for the CFL Pick'em Show with Robert Drummond, four-time Grey Cup champion. And then tonight at 10:15, we will have Inside Boxing Weekly with me, John, and Jeremiah, breaking down Canelo Alvarez's titanic struggle with Gennady Golovkin, as Marty Brenneman would say it, even though, Joe's a Dodgers fan. But the Reds did win 2 out of 3. All right, guys. Remember, you can hear all of our shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Joe Kelly, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.